Hey everyone, I'm Jude Hotep, the Goddess Astrologer and Alchemical Initiatrix. Welcome to Light Goddess. This is the Light Goddess YouTube channel where I do new moon and full moon videos every single month. You can also check out the Light Goddess podcast. The link is below. There are episodes weekly and there's almost 500 episodes. So there's so much available to you about running your business on feminine flow and intuition, about the spiritual journey, what the hell is going on this ascension, and learning astrology as a way to live life and understand life. So let's get into this new moon that is an eclipse. We've been deep in eclipse season for a month, and we are getting into this new moon. It's Aries at 29 degrees. It's a solar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse, meaning that it's making the moon intensified with all of this energy, speaking to us really loudly. The universe is so loud right now with its messages to us about soul, about accessing our emotions, about being willing to change our beliefs so that we can change our reality. We had a new moon, the last new moon in Aries. It's not common to have two new moons in the same sign. So we had that new moon that was the last of 7 new moons and at 0 and 1 degrees. So new beginnings and all of those signs leading up to Aries. We were clearing out and starting new ways of being, new belief systems, new patterns of engaging with the world in each of those signs leading up to this Aries new moon. And then this Aries new moon was 0 degrees, starting this new beginning with the equinox, very quantum, with Pluto moving into Aquarius now. And what's happening is this new moon is at 29 degrees. So we're covering the whole swath of Aries, the universe speaking loudly to us about what is Aries. Aries is our autonomy, our sovereignty, being unto ourselves, no longer in the codependency, no longer under domination and control of other people, getting out of toxic relationships, getting out of toxic patterns of our own thinking, behaviors, maladaptations that we used to survive at one time because of abuse or traumas or difficulties in life, but are not serving our evolution, our personal evolution, therefore not serving the collective evolution. So remembering some key themes to what's going on in our world, that we are in an ascension, that we're moving out of a 3rd dimensional reality into a 5th dimensional reality as a species, but it's taking all of us individually to do this massive transformation, this massive shift. We're also moving from a very mind, ego dominant people to a emotion intuitively dominated people, being moved by our instincts, our intuition, which means we have to come back into Aries, our own authority within ourselves, which means we have to stop doing this distorted Saturn Capricorn, the patriarchy, the dominator culture. The thing about patriarchy is that when it came in 5,000 years ago, it ended the matrilineal time where women were in a position of leadership. Women were revered. Men and women lived in equality. There was nearly, fear was nearly eradicated. There was no war. There was peace on the planet. We had sexual freedom and sexual liberation. So it's only under patriarchy that sex ever becomes depraved and becomes squashed, repressed, suppressed. So it's kind of interesting to look at these things, to understand these things, to look at how when women are free and the feminine principle within all of humanity is not suppressed, then sexual freedom and liberation is the norm. And we don't have the abuses, sexual abuses, and priests abusing children, and the sex trafficking rings around the planet. So we have to really look at what patriarchy has done. Most of us here are going to be like, yeah, I don't like patriarchy. I'm not doing that, whatever. But here's the thing. The reality is indicative of our beliefs. So we have to look at our beliefs. All of us individually have to be real and confront within ourselves where we have patriarchal dominator culture beliefs running within our own programming, because this is a process. You don't just wake up one day and all of a sudden dismantle all of these programs, all of these maladaptations to being under the control of dominators, narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, from that having honed and shaped our culture, that has conditioned our culture to respond in certain ways, to sidestep to get by, to walk on broken eggshells, to never speak our no. This is something I see so clearly, so frequently out there, is people not being willing to own their no. And I've had to face within myself where asking to get my needs met causes me to not want to do that, to overthink about it, and to want to retreat because of the horrible way that people respond when I have in the past, and because of abuse or trauma and these types of things. So we have to look into our own psyche, soul, to where we still have these things, and to be real with ourselves, which means feeling emotions, big emotions of feeling shame or guilt or regret, feeling anger and sadness and despair, maybe even feeling tricked and abused and gotten over on. There's all of this range of emotions that comes to waking up from how we ourselves have been perpetuating the patriarchy as well, to get by, to survive, because that's how we were conditioned and programmed by being born at this time, by being born in many, many lifetimes within the patriarchy, so within the dominator culture. So we have to look at this. And the word patriarchy can be really triggering to men, unfortunately, even though it's not about male bashing. The truth is, yes, mainly white men were in charge of the patriarchy, but what kind of white men? Let's just be really clear. Narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. So we're not putting down any gender, any sex, rather, because sex is the biology of male, female, whatever you identify with in gender, have at it. But we're not putting down any sex, any person. We have to be really real what we're looking at, and we have to be really real about ourselves. We have to be really real about the beliefs that we have within us, where we're not standing up in our no. This is what I see so frequently in the world, and what I coach on so often is that people don't want to stand up in their no. They say these niceties, these pleasantries. They think they're being polite, but it's not polite. It's actually manipulative. It keeps people psychologically on the hook, energetically on the hook. It never actually makes you grow and own your no, which means you have to face where and why you're scared to do that. Are you afraid of the repercussions of what people will do? How maybe they abused you in the past, how they responded so badly and so disproportionately and out of proportion to what you were doing, which is maybe asking for your needs to be met, maybe asking for transparency, or pointing out the lack of transparency or the lack of ethical behavior. And people don't respond well to that, because then it means they have to face their shit. And so we have to, I encourage you, and as a society, as a collective, we need to face those things inside of ourselves that make us want to not stand up in our no and our yes. To just say to somebody, I thought I was going to do this thing, but I realize it's not the right time for me, so I'm not going to do that any longer. I'll talk to you soon. Just say your no. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to tell, some of maybe your private details as why this changed. You just speak the truth. Just speak your no. Own your no. I really encourage you not to give people mixed messages. Like, well, maybe shouldn't we maybe not do this thing? That's a question. That's not a no. You in your head are trying to say, will you please see and read between my lines that what I really mean, and it's enmeshment, it's codependency, it's people pleasing, it's all of these enmeshed Libra shadow ways of engaging. Like, will you please let me off the hook so I don't have to actually say, no, I don't want to do this thing. I think that my appointment's going over and I'm not actually able to do it after all. Let's do it some other time. We have to own our no. We have to, because nothing ever changes. We never face within ourselves the fear that comes from times before and other lifetimes where we were horribly punished, abused, maybe sadistically abused. You don't know what your past lives hold unless you're looking at your chart and doing past life work of what you may have gone through that is playing out in this life, of why you are so scared to speak your no, to decline an invitation, to think that you're being polite when really actually everybody is is tiptoeing around everybody else, never being Aries, autonomous, sovereign, having a very firm sense of self, like a board within you, like very much like, this is who I am. I'm clear. A lot of people will say you're being mean or something when you're being yourself, or you're speaking up, or you're speaking out. And the truth is that they haven't ever had somebody engage with them at such a real, authentic level and have such a prevalent sense of self. They've been not being their full self and grouping up with other people that are insecure and inferior and not being their full sense of self. And so everybody's kind of like just keeping that dynamic, never growing, evolving, and never being pushed to, because they're never around anybody that makes them, that provokes that growth. We have to do things differently if things are ever going to change. The reality out in the external world only changes when we change our beliefs. And I'm going to get into the charts and show you this with this eclipse of like how massive this is. This is such a beautiful eclipse. Something to understand about the eclipse is that a solar eclipse is this infusion and intensification of the moon. The moon, the nodes of the moon are about where we need to emotionally grow and evolve, like where we need to cultivate and learn. So with the nodal axis of the moon right now, it's when we typically say the nodes, we're talking about the nodes of the moon. All planets have nodes, and I'm going to get into that today. That the nodes of the moon are in Scorpio South Node, Taurus North Node. So this is where we're being asked as humanity, we're given this opportunity for these 18 months to emotionally evolve and grow and cultivate this evolution, cultivate this growth of the Scorpio South Node and Taurus North Node. And Scorpio is all of those psychodynamics. It's black and white thinking. It's not being able to hold a grander, bigger picture. It's very fixed water, meaning not accessing your emotions being frozen, being fixed, being underneath, where you're not accessing them and working with them. Talking about emotions is not the same as healing, and it's not the same as releasing emotions and not being under them. If all of our emotions drive behavior, then just talking about our emotions doesn't release the emotion, and that emotion's still in there driving a behavior. So if you have frustration or unworthy or lack of confidence driving all your behavior, guess what all your behaviors are going to be? They're going to be behaviors driven by insecurity. But if you have confidence, worthiness, valuing yourself, if you're driven by those emotions, just think what your actions are going to be. This is why emotional mastery is just, it's a no-brainer. It's like, why wouldn't you want to go towards that? And Mars in Cancer saying very clearly, access your emotions. Mars is action. Mars is the motivation. Our motivation being our emotions, and the moon changing every 2.5 days changes that Mars and that focus. The other thing to understand about Aries is this life force energy. It's our pure life force energy. It's the literal pranic field of our body is that infused with this life force. Are you strengthening your life force on a regular basis? This is a meditation that I teach in ALCHEMY to strengthen your life force on a daily basis so that you actually can exist in this world with all the frequencies and all of the pollution and all the stuff going on, so that you can have a very strong will to act on your life, to live this wild, audacious life as a woman entrepreneur, changing the world, being an example for how the greatness that one can step into in this life. We were taught in this culture superlatives, to be the best, to be the greatest, to be better. We grew up trying to be better than everybody else. Let's just be real. That's what we were conditioned to think and do and to operate under. But the truth is that there isn't the greatest. It doesn't exist. What does exist is our individual greatness. And we can step into that. And hardly any person knows the edge of their greatness. Most people don't know what they are even capable of at a little bit. They don't even know a little bit of what they are capable of. And so what about you? Are you pushing the edge of what you're capable of? Which means big emotions, which means feeling, which means going inside and dealing with all the yucky feelings and the resistance and the wanting to escape and the wanting to push it away and cut away and avoid, and the numbing out and the checking out and the scrolling and all those things. We have to face all those things to have this amazing life where we're pushing the edge of our own greatness. Don't you want to see what's possible for you on this evolutionary journey? Let's get into the chart for this eclipse. I want to share so much with you. We're going to go into the sun sign horoscopes for everyone as well. If you are getting so much out of these videos, if there's one little thing that you love or like in this video, please like the video. And if you feel like this would help someone else or would inspire someone else or uplift them, please go ahead and just hit share and share this video with a friend right now. And if you want to get the updates and know when these videos are released every month, you can hit the subscribe button right now. So let's go into the eclipse. This eclipse is happening in the US. Adjust for your area of the world and time zone on April 19th at 11:12 p.m. in Central Time. So adjust for your own time zone. This is a new moon eclipse. So the moon and the sun are conjunct at that 29-degree mark in Aries. And it's that last degree of Aries, like I was saying. So we went through this whole Aries period. And we have talked about what Aries is about, that in the past, it's been this archaic warrior programming. And you can think of it as a spiritual warrior, but it's truly talking about humanity needing to finally stand up as a leader within our own self, like standing firm. This means on an energetic level, a lot of people try to push your energetic boundaries and bully you energetically. A lot of people just don't know anything about their own energy system. And so they're always edging into other people's energy or pushing or all of this. Is kind of like this bullying energy. And so there's all of these levels that we need to stand in our confidence, our power, our sense of I am within ourselves, not shrinking. And I'm talking about shrinking in these micro ways, energetically just shrinking, sucking your energy field back to your body where you think you can't be seen, but what's happening is everybody else's energy field is actually collapsing onto yours. Your energy field is collapsing. And instead, keep your energetic boundary very clear. Keep your sense of self very clear. I'm here. I'm taking up space. I'm owning my no. I'm declining when I don't want to do something. You can do it with love. I'm saying yes to what I actually want to do. And if I change my mind, I'm going to let them know. If I'm tentative and I just don't know yet, I need to check my schedule, look at things, just say that. I'm tentative. I need to check my schedule. I'll get back to you. I would like to do this, but I got to check my schedule. I have no idea if this will fit in. Let me get back to you. But not using that as an excuse, as a blow off. Own your no. If it's really like a no for you, just own that no. I really recommend and encourage you starting to practice this at low risk places. Like, no, I don't want tacos tonight. No, I don't want to go to the movies. Actually, I'm pretty tired. No, I don't want to go home yet. I want to stay out at this party. Whatever it is, I really encourage you to start practicing owning your no and owning your energy field and your presence within this world. Like, really stand strong in your presence as a woman in any given moment, in any circumstance with other people and situations, owning your presence and that energy within yourself. This is this Aries, this autonomy. People say sovereignty all the time, but what they really mean is autonomy. This sense, a clear, defined sense of self. Because the thing about our ego and our personality is it is to our body like a coat's to the body. It is to our soul, like a coat would be to our body. So it's really just a vehicle for our soul to evolve in the next stage of its evolution in this incarnation. But we have to look at where we're spelled out, thinking that the whole point is to keep up with the Joneses, to do the Hollywood life, to post a picture on Instagram, to look so great. Like, how can other people see me looking so good? Because really there's insecurity there. And there's this programming that supposedly your value is based on your looks or how your pictures on Instagram or on social media. And we have to dismantle these programs within our own programming. So this eclipse. Like I said, eclipses last, the energy of it, you feel that intense energy beginning usually a month before to a month after. Some people say that eclipses last for a year, 6 months. There's all these different theories. I encourage you to simply look into your own life and feel what it is for you. It's definitely an intensification of this Aries energy. The important things to know about this eclipse is that it squares Pluto. And so Pluto being in Aquarius and Capricorn, it's the patriarchal, the old dominator culture versus the Aquarius, the new model. It's not going to be a matrilineal model. But what we are doing is we're going back to retrieve the wisdom and to pick back up the feminine principle within all humanity that's been suppressed. This principle within ourselves. We're picking this principle of the sacred feminine back up, and we're embodying that once again, and we're reintegrating that into ourselves individually. All of humanity is being provoked into doing this in whatever way that soul, that ego is willing to allow that soul growth at this time. Everyone is at a different level there. Some souls are like, yes, I'm all in, let's grow, let's evolve, let's get on with this. Some souls are like, oh my God, I don't want to do that, that's too scary, I want to stay the same. And so their evolution is snail slow. So everybody has an individual level to which they're evolving. And often we want to evolve, we want to grow, and then we get scared. And so we go back into the old familiar patterns and what appears to be comfortable, which is what's familiar. So we have to realize that Aquarius is what's new, it's the unknown. And so to grow and evolve, it means doing what we don't know yet. It means being in the unknown, being in the uncharted waters. The ship is very safe in the harbor, but it's not made to be in the harbor. It's made to go out onto the seas and to have the adventure, which risks the dark. But the dark is just, dark and light are just resolving halves of the whole. So with Pluto about transmutation, Pluto's about transmutation, the caterpillar into the butterfly. Caterpillars are great and all, but they're worms. Let's be real. Like, we want that beautiful butterfly that's just flying around and floating on the breeze and that lands next to you, and it's so beautiful. And we want to become the butterfly ourselves and mutate into this beautiful next version of ourselves, stepping into our next level of greatness. What is the edge of your greatness? What you're capable of, the light you're shining in this world, speaking truth when people admonish you or put you down or respond really badly about it with all their wounds and traumas and triggers, and you standing like that board, very firm in your Aries I amness, who I am. I know who I am. I know I'm coming from my heart, and that I'm doing the right thing by speaking up about your lack of transparency, even though that triggers you and that makes you have to kind of face and look at where you're not being transparent. And you have an opportunity to go grow, or you have the opportunity to go back and still be in the same old patterns, the Saturn, that Capricorn. So when Pluto is going back into Capricorn in June until next year, January, it's what it's doing is it's allowing us to slowly try to evolve a little bit and see what the evolution's about and see how we're going to be provoked, see what the new world is all about. But then, like, go back to our comfort zones in Capricorn, what we knew before, so that we can feel safe and feel comfortable. And then it's going to go back into Aquarius next year, and we can stretch our wings back out into the new and try to expand and evolve and grow again. And then it's like, no, let's go back into Capricorn so we can feel safe. And so what it's doing, Pluto is allowing us this back and forth motion in the old patriarchy to the new world, to allow humanity to get comfortable with the new, to allow especially those that evolve so slowly and that want to go back to the old and cling to the old ways that are devastating for all of humanity, except for those that profit from it and that get off on it, which is narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. That's the only people that get off on this system. So none of the rest of humanity, the 80 to 90% of us, even if a huge chunk of those people of us are asleep or still in the matrix programming, are benefiting from the patriarchy. We've been trained by it. So many people are acting it out, thinking that it's a good thing to do themselves and perpetuating it themselves, and all of us in micro ways. But it's not, it's absolutely devastating to to humanity. And so this is what's happening with Pluto going back and forth from Capricorn to Aquarius. And so with Pluto square this new moon solar eclipse that's infusing, intensifying all of this Aries energy conjunct the sun, our purpose in Aries, exalted in Aries, this zodiacal new year, this season of Aries, that this is the last degree, and we're going to move into Taurus season after this, right after this. This square is provoking this transmutation of us from the caterpillar into the butterfly, meaning a big purge, Pluto, of all of the old belief systems from Capricorn that are holding us back, that are creating that keep creating that old patriarchal dominator reality that we no longer want to live in, that's no longer allowing for growth, that has been, completely controlling and sheeping humanity around for 5,000 years and just absolutely depraved and really truly sick. There's that quote that I shared, I think in the last video, that it's no marker of good health to be well adjusted to a sick society. This dysfunction, the people that, appear on the outside to be doing what is supposedly sold to us as life, which is the house and the cars and the money, and supposedly all the bills are paid and the career and everything. This is just one avenue of the possibility of what a soul could use to evolve. This is what would be so helpful for each person on this planet to understand, is that this is just one option of a way a soul can use to evolve, is to go through that type of experience. But there's millions of experiences, and we can really have some fun here and create the life you want to create. So what do you want to create? What big, wild, audacious life do you really want to live that doesn't have to be what the status quo sold you was supposedly important? Like, are those even your value systems? Is that even what you want to do? What do you want to do? I had a coach that was really inspiring and uplifting, but she was like really pushing, what her value system was and what she really thought was important. And there's things that I still take from it to this day, but I had to really look in at my own inner values and see, like, what am I doing here on earth? Like, what is my soul's desire of an experience of which I could have a great earthly experience, but also my soul can still go through the evolution that it needs. And I have to listen in to where my soul is directing me and calling me. And if I would have known of what I had to go through to get to here today, I wouldn't have chosen to do it. I would have been like, I'm out, I'm bouncing out of this. So looking at that, we really realize so much. So this Pluto square. Pluto is squaring the nodes all year. We have the nodes, like I said, the nodes of the moon in Taurus and Scorpio, and it's about our emotional evolution. Like, are we learning Scorpio issues, which is about sexuality and about sacredness, and it's about power. So sexuality used to not be a depraved thing. It used to not be separate from the divine, from the sacred. It used to not be so repressed and closeted and taboo and secret and all of these things. It used to just be completely the way to contact the divine, the way to infuse our life force energy. It was a beautiful, lovely, natural part of life. So we have to reclaim sexuality and sensuality, which women are the embodiment of, the feminine is the embodiment of, and reclaim it and bring back the wholesomeness, the sacredness of sensuality and sexuality. And so as a woman, embodying that, not being sexualized and objectified, doing that to ourselves or allowing others to do that to us, but instead bringing back the sacredness of sensuality and sexuality that as a woman we represent and we embody. Also, power. Scorpio is power. And so how is power being wielded? Because Scorpio is manipulation and black magic and, the mafia and strip clubs and the underworld. It is all the darkness and depravity of human behavior and sexual abuse and all of that, those pieces. And so how are we reclaiming our power within ourselves and from the depraved way that sexuality has been perpetuated in our culture. And how do we reclaim the sacred, that spirit infuses all of life, that consciousness does not come from the material world, from matter, but matter comes from consciousness. So that's the gifts of the Scorpio. So are we emotionally learning the lessons of Scorpio and Taurus? Taurus being about building and growing relationships, about simplicity, and about love. Ultimately, the Taurus is about love. It's Venus. And Venus at this time in Gemini about versatility and about being able to adapt. That mutable sign of Gemini, adaptability, being able to not be so fixed and rigid, and so that we can grow and evolve. That mutable quality is about evolution, growing, adapting. We're so adaptable as humans, but we often stay in that fixity. And so the nodes of the moon are in that fixity, that Scorpio, fixed water and fixed emotions, not looking at our emotions. So are we learning the lesson of Scorpio and looking at emotions and accessing our emotions, not talking about them? We have to feel them. We have to feel emotions. We have to embody. Taurus is about embodiment. Are we embodying the power of our own sovereignty, that Aries of the moon and the sun? Are we embodying our love of Venus, our hearts, our soul, that spirit infuses all like that? We're infused by soul and spirit, and this is who we really are. Are we embodying that in the Taurus? Because because the thing is that Uranus has a south node in Sag. So like I was saying, all planets have nodes as well, a north node and a south node. And so Uranus that doesn't really roll off your tongue. South node, Uranus is in Taurus at 17 degrees. Like we know, it's been here for a long time, right? It conjunct the North Node, which is very rare. It sat on the world point of 15 degrees for a very long time. And it's at 17 degrees now. Moved off that world point a couple of degrees in Taurus. The new Earth being Taurus and Uranus being new. The revolution of the status quo being Taurus and Uranus being the revolution, standing up against the old ways. But also this Uranus has a south node of Sag, meaning that that we have to come out of the old memories, that we have all of these old ancient memories of this false truth, man-made truth, not higher natural law, not natural truth. Sag in the highest conscious expression is natural truth, but Sag can be dogmatic. And when it's in the south node position on Uranus, it's dogmatic. It's set in these religious control, religion as a way to control the people. We had popes and the Catholic Church, doing brothels and starting businesses with prostitutes. And this is documented historical fact. This isn't just an anecdote. This is documented historical fact. So under the dominator culture, we had the church actually making money off of prostitutions, getting women to come into what was supposed to be a convent and get out of prostitution, and then turning them into prostitutes and controlling and dominating women, and doing so sexually and depraved and horrible ways. And so the south node of Uranus is in Sagittarius. This is what we must evolve from. And we are asked to evolve into Gemini, Uranus's north node, into that versatility, that adaptability, that changing, asking questions, being curious, growing, learning, and being willing to look at many ideas and consider all kinds of ideas that, of course, this person would believe that because that's their experiences. That's what Gemini understands. The other thing is that Neptune south node, Neptune at home in Pisces, You know, Neptune is soul. It is the all that is. That's what Neptune represents, the all that is. And Neptune's south node is in Aquarius, saying that we have to no longer conform. We have to no longer do group think. We have to do this Aries new moon, you know, this Aries new moon, sovereignty, autonomy, our I am, our own identity, our own sense of self, courage. It takes courage to change people's hearts. It takes courage to change people's hearts, to be a leader, to not be trying to do what everybody else is doing. And so Neptune is saying, come out of the group think of this last 5,000 years and retrieve your individuality. Leo, north node of Neptune, and the Neptune's north node is in Leo, saying retrieve your individuality, your sense of play and joy, your heart, your childlike, you know, being enamored and in the wonderment of all of life, and the playfulness and the fire of taking action and creating and expressing yourself creatively. The north node in Taurus we've been talking about is conjunct this new moon. It's telling us how important this emotional evolution of love, and Taurus is also our valuing ourselves. So valuing our own self, which means then we attract other people that value us, and that we get to value and love the things about them. And we are in these dynamics where both people value each other, instead of being in a dynamic where the other person's always triggered, blaming you for that trigger, saying you're doing something wrong, when they're trigger projecting. They're never looking at their own stuff and doing the inner work, and they're not ready right now. Okay, fine, but you don't have to be in that dynamic with them, trying to placate them, prostrating yourself to them, trying to people please and tiptoe and walk on broken eggshells. Stop doing that shit. Value yourself, stand up in your I amness, stand up in your courage, and attract all those amazing people to you that do see your value, love you for you, know your heart, know who you really are, and that you can be in those amazing soul tribes together, really stepping into the next level of your greatness, pushing the edge of your greatness. Where is the edge of your greatness? So this is something so profound. During this eclipse, we have Jupiter and Arachne, goddess Arachne, the spider, grandmother spider goddess, conjunct exact at 23 degrees. And so Jupiter is our belief systems, and started a new 12-year cycle in Aries about this belief system that's coming from our autonomous healed self. And it's been conjuncting Chiron healing our sense of ourself, healing our broken down courage and capacity to be assertive and own our no and yes, and all of these things we've been talking about today. It's been healing that within humanity, provoking us to heal that, asking us to heal that, giving us the opportunity, saying it's safe to do that now. You're safe to do that now. You can get the people out of your life at this era, in this time. You can get the people out of your life that are abusive or can't see your value or constantly trigger projecting and just can't handle a healthier, higher level relationship. And then you can attract to amazing people that can be on this healing journey with you and can live this as a lifestyle, because this is the time of the great healing where humanity is going to heal this 5,000 years of the dominator culture and this sexual depravity and this suppression of the feminine within all of humanity that has left us without this partnership, that has left us in competition, healthy competition. So healing competition, Aries, healthy competition is about us getting better, that we play a sport against a better team, or that we work with somebody, we hire somebody in our own business that's more intelligent than us, because it makes us grow and pushes us to the edge of our greatness. That's what competition is really about. But in this culture, we've been trained and conditioned to believe that competition was about who was the best, which doesn't exist. It's just who was the best that day in that moment with those set of variables, right? But we can be our greatness. We can be our greatness. And so it's healing that dominator model of competition that serves no one, and that keeps trying to climb to be the king of some mountain that doesn't exist. It's just false. So it keeps everybody else chasing their tails. And then the narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths that were, pushing that model, they're, controlling and dominating and making money and making profits off of a world we don't want to live in anymore. And so Jupiter, our beliefs, is saying you have this chance to, with your beliefs, to affect the quantum field, Arachne, and to create a new reality. So Arachne is about the quantum field it's like if you imagine a web, or imagine the quantum field and like putting your finger on it and the whole thing kind of vibrating. And you imagine that's what we're doing moment to moment as we change our beliefs, heal our shit, and push the edge of our greatness. No matter how uncomfortable, no matter how much insecurity comes up, that's just an emotion that you can release in 5 minutes. You don't have to carry, insecurity around. It's so powerful, this moon. And then Jupiter's going to go and meet up with Eris. And Jupiter is not exact conjunct, but is conjunct Eris too, the goddess of being outside of the status quo, the goddess of grouping up with other people, being in sisterhood, being with soul tribe, where you grow together, where you're rising together. And really claiming Aries, this sense of courage, this courageousness, because Aries Xena is about this courageousness to be who you are, to not accept inequality, to not accept a lack of transparency or unethical behavior or abuses or narcissism, to stand up to that. There's a lot of well-meaning people that are still acting out maladaptations and abusive behaviors and gaslighting behaviors and behaving really badly in the face of being called on their lack of transparency or their lack of, doing things better. And they don't respond well. But it's not that they're particularly malicious or a narcissist themselves, but they're under that way of behaving in the world, and they haven't worked to go in to change and grow and heal yet. And unless they're provoked, will they ever do that? And you saying you can't be in my life any longer because you're not somebody that's willing to grow might be what provokes them to kind of look within and say, gosh, what is going on in here? Or they might blame it on the other person and keep staying in the same old loops and patterns. But we all have our evolutionary journey here, right? And so goddess Diana conjunct the North Node. She's a goddess unto herself. She's a great huntress. She's so skilled at every single activity, kind of like Chiron, so individually talented and has so much expertise. And she fights for sisterhood. She fights for her sisters, for women, and she stands up to the abuses, the atrocities, to what's not right in the world, and says no. In the face of, it's not like you stand up, Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa and all of these people that stood up, they didn't stand up and have everybody being like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, let's just do that. No, they had everybody saying, this is bullshit, you're a fraud, you're crazy, you're horrible, telling that, they had so much opposition. They did it in the face of opposition. So Aries is about our bravery and our courage to change this world, to change ourselves, which means we have to change our own beliefs. Jupiter conjunct Arachne, change our beliefs so it affects the quantum field, and all of reality then changes. So every one of us that's individually changing and healing and growing is affecting the whole in such massive ways. And here's the thing about this eclipse, new moon, is that it is trine Lilith and Isis in Virgo, newly in Virgo at 0 degrees, retrograding at 0 degrees there, saying, Virgo is healing, but it's also self-sacrificing. No, it's saying no more is the feminine self-sacrificing itself for this old world because of being scared, because of survival, because of needing money. So like, where are you staying in old shitty relationships because they're the one that pays the bills and you're scared of money issues? I would rather live in a dumpster than be controlled by another person and be in a house with all the things. I would never do that. And here's the thing though, we all have our places that's scary. It's scary to maybe speak up. It's maybe scary to ask for your needs met. Lilith is where we have to realize that we may have a lot of rage and anger in there. We might have to face all those places within ourselves where we have anger and rage, and we have to do that sacred rage practice to get that out of our bodies and out of our systems. And I teach those things in She Alchemy. Enrollment is open. You can get more information about it by going to thegoddessastrologer.com and clicking the banner at the top. Isis is about the sexual power, the feminine power, the standing up as a leader, the ruling, leaders amongst leaders. It's about the equality between men and women. It's about peace in the world. It's about justice and fairness. And these two goddesses closely conjunct, trining this eclipse. It's a very clear message that the feminine is being retrieved within humanity, is being healed. Virgo, the feminine is being healed. The feminine of being demonized for just simply being a woman is being healed, Virgo, in this eclipse. But here's the thing, we all do that healing. We do that healing. We have the opportunity to do that healing by doing that within our own self. I know for me, I've been on this journey for a while, like very specifically. I mean, one of the things that gets confused, I think, about healing is a lot of people think that they did the books, the workshops, they talked about things, they went to prayer circles and did all these things for so many years that they've been on like doing the healing. But I really don't think that's healing. I did so many things and I kept kind of feeling like, is this making a dent in any of this stuff? And I could sense this whole history behind me, my past lives, my experiences from this life that needed that healing for me to evolve what my soul, the evolution that my soul wanted in this life. But I like, it wasn't really, it was like, if it made a dent, it made a little dent, it taught me something, I gained some knowledge or some skills, some tools in my spiritual gig bag, but was it actually doing the healing? No. And it's only been in recent years where I could access the techniques that are actually effective at healing and to really do work that healed that stuff for real. Felt, and so much of it was about feeling my emotions, of feeling demonized for simply being a woman. All women that have been born right now, are alive right now, have this in their psyche's soul that they need to purge out, which is Pluto, quincunx Pluto, which means a quincunx, which means it's challenging to do this, to purge out of their soul that being demonized simply for being a woman, being put down, being admonished, being told that they are not good, that they are evil simply for being a woman. This is what we were told by religion. We've been told by science that it's soulless, that there's no soul, that it's just a mechanized world, that it's a big experiment. None of that's true. And Isis, we heal the part of our feminine power, that we are the leader, that we understand this better future for our species as women, that we are nurturing and loving and bringing back these qualities and this feminine principle, healing the feminine principle of our divine knowledge, our divine connection to all that is, that we are an embodiment of the connection to the all that is, that we are embodiment of soul and sacredness and sexuality and sensuality, and all that is beautiful and loving and pure and wholesome. And so it's the feminine principle within all people, and it's women. And so we're healing this in this eclipse, but we have to go seek that. We have to touch it. We have to do it. But we have shrines, which means we have so much support to do it. We have the support to do it. There's nobody coming after you. And you might be in an individual situation where maybe there really is, but this is the chance of this lifetime to move out of that, to free yourself, to liberate. Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is about liberation. And Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter's south node is all in Capricorn, meaning the patriarchy. That Pluto, we are transmutating from that patriarchy and purging that from our soul, clearing that from our soul, Pluto, and going into that Cancer North Node of accessing our emotions, because that's how we will go into this new Aquarius era. And Saturn, recreating a world not based upon the dominator controls and repression and regression like Capricorn, but on Cancer, retrieving our intuition, instinctual knowing nature to move forward into this Aquarius era. Saturn conjunctive Scorpio about healing this. And Jupiter's South Node also in Capricorn about dismantling the belief systems of the patriarchy, of the dominator culture, and retrieving our connection to our instinctual, intuitive way, trusting, believing and trusting, flowing from Cancer, our intuition, our instinctual self. I don't need rules to tell me what is right and wrong. Anyone that doesn't understand that is a narcissist, sociopath, and psychopath, and they do understand it. They don't care. They're either trying to trick you into you needing a rule to be able to, there was this old storyline that was sold to humanity for a really long time, that humanity just couldn't do it on its own. Humanity needs rules and laws and order and governments and control mechanisms, because humanity can't handle it. Humanity will just break out into chaos. That's not true. That's not true. That is an abuse and a gaslighting abuse by narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths that have been controlling the old dominator culture, the old dominator paradigm. So, we know what's right in our own heart. You have to access your intuition. We're being called to become an intuitive, emotional people once again, and to move forward into this new way, this new era that it's going to look completely different now based on humanity's new belief system. And Scorpio having this trine and Saturn having this trine to the South Node about healing all of the depravities and the polarized thinking and being fixed and rigid in our ways, and not being like unwilling to look at our emotions. Scorpio South Node. The South Node is where we need to emotionally evolve and cultivate those skills, meaning accessing our emotions. Scorpio can be an absolute resistance to looking at emotions and feeling emotions and looking at our own emotions. The universe is speaking so clearly. And with there being squares from Pallas, Athena, to Jupiter and Arachne, it tells us so clearly that Pallas being our instinctual intelligence, our intuitive intelligence, and healing and medicine, natural law, natural medicine, that it's a square to our belief systems of whether we're going to tap into our instinctual, intuitive world, our intuitive truths, our intuitive knowing, let our intuition and instincts guide us. What do we see? What do we hear? What do we know? What do we feel? And yes, we do go into extremes as we're figuring it out so that we can eventually balance out in the middle. That's just normal life. That's just, of course, there's that figuring out, that's testing and trying and experiencing it, because we truly learn and know things when we experience it. It's not through just conceptual knowing. That's mental masturbation. I encourage you to actually feel, encourage you to actually experience, to embody. That's how we learn and grow and evolve. This Mars being in Cancer, about taking action, accessing our emotions, and this Moon being in Aries, about that's where our autonomy comes from. This eclipse is so clear. It's so loud. It's so evident. I hope that this has been fun, and I hope that you've gotten a lot out of this. And if you have, I would love it if you could like this video, send it to a friend, share it, subscribe to the channel. And we'll be going into your sun sign horoscopes now and doing those on this eclipse for all 12 signs and pulling some cards. Super fun. So we're going to get into that in just a moment here. All right, I'm going to share the charts with you for the sun signs and go into it. So let's get into this. The other thing to know too is you can book an astrology reading with me at thegoddessastrologer.com. Incredibly transformational experience to start to reclaim your life and understand your 10 planets by house and sign, understand your nodes and what your soul is wanting to do in this life, why there's challenges or stuck places, or you feel thwarted in areas, why you went through certain things, and what your transits are, how to capitalize, how to move forward. So really powerful. And you can book that at thegoddessastrologer.com. All right, let's get into it. Aries. Aries, this eclipse is obviously in your first house. So it's a powerful eclipse for you. Also, everyone, just encouraging you to look at your rising and your sun sign both. Your rising is going to be your natal chart. Your sun sign is going to be your solar chart. And together they're going to give you a really great idea about the specific areas of your life that this eclipse is really affecting right now for you. All right. Aries, this is all about your identity and your ego. And if you've been healing that damaged or wounded ego into that healthy ego, if you've been really stepping into a sense of autonomy and getting out of the people pleasing, the Libra, all of this Libra shadow of people pleasing, not standing up in your own sense of I am, sense of self. And remember that if this is your sun, this is your life purpose to be an Aries. But it's maybe, depending on your other planetary setup, it may not be what you're actually very natural at doing is Aries. If this is your rising, this is often the way other people see you. You're instinctually in Aries, but you're going to go into your moon to feel safe and comfortable. And so really understanding what your moon is, because this eclipse is an intensification of this Aries principle of autonomy, freedom, fierceness, courage. It believes, it's positive belief in the good, positive belief in your greatness and what you can step into, no matter how thwarted you are. I mean, look at Nelson Mandela. He wrote his whole book and then had it taken by the prison guards and had to rewrite it again from scratch and hide it and smuggle it out. I mean, there's so many stories that we can look to as inspiration for us. And so really understanding your sense of I am, also looking at where do you have healing. So this is really about your ego and your sense of I am, right? And if this is your sun, it's about your sense of purpose. It's about your life purpose, to be an Aries, to be courageous, to be the one that leads, to be the one that charges into things, marches on the front lines. So it's like being the frontline spiritual warrior, the frontline evolutionary evolved, willing to evolve person, going before the status quo, going before anybody else, being looked at as the weirdo or the odd person out, etc. And there is in your grounding into reality, being in reality, being in your health and in your day-to-day life, in your self-mastery, there may be some healing of the feminine to do in those areas of maybe what you were expected to hold a house, or what you have internalized as the expectations of a woman, and in day-to-day life, and healing that, clearing that. Jupiter in the first house as well as all of your belief systems about yourself or about life. All of these belief systems, are these belief systems, are they conscious through the lens of an empowered self, of caring about yourself, of knowing that you matter, of a healthy self, not a self that's maladaptive, that's just trying to survive, that's just wounded ego, but a self that's healthy, that knows your no yes, that knows what you want, that's connected to soul and heart. So it's looking at all of that, squaring Pluto in your 11th house about relationships. So where you're going through getting out of the old relationships that are really entrenched in the old dominator culture ways and value systems, and moving into this new Aquarian era life in relationships that are really uplifting, that value you, that see your heart, and that know the value of you. And so this is a big square of pushing you, a lot of tension. Are you retreating back into what feels safe and comfortable because it's known quantity, that the hell to feel safe, instead of pushing your edge of your greatness, finding out what you're capable of? And the mind is asking you to reprogram your mind around abundance and around self-value and your own resourcefulness. Like, can I set you down in any part of the world naked and you make it? Like, can you make it? Here's the thing is you are actually resourceful and capable within yourselves, but a lot of us aren't provoked by our world to find that out, because people stay safe and comfortable in relationships that don't serve them, and have money provided or a job that pays for everything, and so they're not provoked in all these ways that would help them to grow. So Aries will pull you some cards, and this card came up quick. Welcome to Divine Masculine in a sacred protection message of asking you to integrate the masculine energy and let go of the patriarchy. So it's like the divine masculine. What's the divine masculine versus that patriarchal way of dominating and competing and all of that? So it's a big, deep inquiry and self and going in. And that Aries principle is that divine masculine principle. Gratitude, again, meaning raise your vibration. Gratitude is about, like, how do you raise your vibration? Meditate to have a clear mind, 5 to 15 minutes a day, just to raise your vibration, your frequency. How can you get into higher states of joy and feeling connected to the all that is, feeling inspired, uplifted, so that your frequency can rise, so that you can have more clarity about your life and next steps to take. Balance means that we're always in these little course corrections. And this is about being in balance, meaning that it's never an equality. Balance isn't where things are just in this set place. Homeostasis means that everything's adapting, growing, changing, evolving. The winter turns into the spring turns into summer, and so on, that we're always ever changing, adapting, and growing. So that's the real true definition of balance. And if you're an Aries rising, you need that in your relationships, that adaptive quality. Aries, this eclipse is big. I know you're feeling it. I hope that helps you. All right. Taurus, this eclipse for you is happening in your 12th house. It's the house of endings and completion. So this is infusing Aries. So where there was the archaic warrior principle, domination over you, being in fights, being in challenges, aggression, old belief systems that are coming from the patriarchy, this is having this opportunity to complete now. This is intensifying this principle of your sovereignty and autonomy, and belief systems that can create a ripple effect in the quantum field of leadership, of self-autonomy, of courage, positive belief. So there's this needing to end all of the wounds, to close out and complete cycles of old wounding and old patterns around these themes, so that you can be in that positive believing, so that you have the willpower, Aries, and the life force energy, Aries, to push to the limit of your greatness, to find the edge of your greatness. So it's, asking you to look at your belief systems that are still internalized patriarchy. And we think that because we wouldn't dare do that consciously, that we don't have it. We have it unconsciously. We have it subconsciously. We have to be willing to look at it and to see it, which means we face big emotions, which are often hard to deal with or challenging until we become quite fluid with emotions. My clients, the people I work with, all become very skilled with emotions, very fluid, very working with them, not thrown off by them, not thwarted by emotions or taken out by them, not resistant and avoidant to emotions. Really powerful place to be within yourself. Asking to change your mindset around your I am, around your who you are, your self-identity. So there's an asking to step into really valuing yourself, the ego part of yourself that's the vehicle of your soul in this life, valuing her. Do you value her? it's just asking you to step into the next level, next best version of valuing yourself and your self-identity, and really look at what your mind stories and narratives and negative thoughts your mind is having about yourself, and really understand that that is a form of self-abuse. And so be willing to clean that up. There may be some healing to do of the feminine around your creative self-expression, around your actualization, standing in your power and your confidence, and in this complete ownership of your expression, your life, your creativity, what you create out in the world, what you put into the world, of that fifth house. So there's a lot of feminine healing. Maybe there's a sacred rage practice that's needed. Be willing to cry and release and let this go. And this Pluto in your 10th house is very much expressing this challenge and this asking for you to grow around your sacred calling, around your business, around standing in the world, taking up space in the world. You're being provoked to grow really hardcore right now, completing old narratives that just are not you, and being asked to grow in how you take up space in the world, like literally in your stance within yourself, energetically, looking people in the eyes, having your head up, having your shoulders back, like really in this place of confidence and ownership of your space in this world, of being here, of existing at all. And so there's a lot here for you, Taurus. I'll pull cards for you. This is definitely about growth, y'all, for sure. Changes in a protection message, meaning that, you know, these changes are part of the evolution. It might not feel good. So where are you resisting the changes? Because if we don't go through it ourselves, often Pluto destroys things, and it's really, really hard. And sometimes you don't know what that is. So that is one of the tricky pieces to it. Sometimes you don't know what the hell you're supposed to change or do. But if there's any inklings that you have of how you need to approach things differently, stand within your own sovereignty and autonomy in a more clear place to speak up, the light speaks up, remember, then you're being asked to do that, and to really take good care of yourself in the midst of all these changes. Eclipses can bring really extreme change. The now in a protection message is saying that you're in future time too much. So get out of future time and really get into the present moment. How can you act in the present moment with power and purpose? How can you be strong and solid in the present moment and realize your power is in this moment right now? And Taurus, you also got celebrate your wins. So really acknowledge every little tiny area where you're changing and growing and evolving. And, you know, it really helps to see the contrast of so many people that are just slow at their evolution, that are not willing to change and grow and evolve at all. There's a lot of people where their external, you know, earthly reality looks like it's amazing, like they've got their shit together, but as a soul, they're not evolving at all. They're not doing anything. And so realize that for all the hardship that you may have gone through and that you may have had, that that's the most soul evolution that's possible, is all of this hardship and difficulty, and learning the wisdom that you get to retain from that. Like this is, you get the gifts of the wisdom from this. Like use that wisdom to your advantage. Use all of this challenge to teach, to help others, to shine your light. Use it to your advantage. You didn't go through this for nothing, and celebrate all the amazing things you do, no matter how small, because that's where you change that self-identity of Aries, where you're coming to a completion on an old self-identity that is based upon how everybody else saw you and how everybody else said you were. That wasn't ever, of course, true, but the real you of your heart and soul, the real you that you know you are. All right, Taurus, I hope that helps you. Gemini. Let me do something here. Just give me a second. All right, y'all, let's do Gemini. Gemini, this eclipse for you is in your 11th house. And this is going out on the adventures, this freedom, liberation before the completion of the 12th house. So this is a liberation, and this can be your audience and groups, any collaborations, any networking that you're doing in your business. And so there is this intensification of being a leader within yourself, really owning your space, owning your who you are, being courageous, cutting away from Jupiter, Arachne, the old stories of self, the old wounded ego, the old issues with standing in your I am, standing really clearly in your no and your yes, stopping doing all of that social politeness, social belonging types of maladaptations and behaviors that serve no one, that are not nice actually, because it's keeping everybody stuck in shadow. And to claim and own who you are with absolute clarity. And it's asking for you to re-narrate the wounds and the issues in a different way, narrate them in a way for your empowerment that serves you. This Pluto, this eclipse square Pluto in your 9th house is asking for you to gain some expertise, to look at your philosophical beliefs, to look at your philosophies on life, on business, on every area of existence, and expand, grow, evolve. They say travel is fatal to ignorance, because we're expanding our worldview as we see how other people live, more possibilities of life, other ways things are done in the world, other philosophies and religions and cultures and education, all of these things. So this is asking you to stand with this new sense of self within your groups, networking, audience of your business as an expert. You know, can you stand up in that sense of autonomy and courage and positive belief and a healthy ego, and stand up as an expert in this world, really working with your philosophical and metaphysical ideas about life? Are they serving you? How do they make you feel? Do they make you feel good or bad? So simple. Like, what you're thinking in your mind make you feel good or bad? Do your beliefs about the world make you feel hopeful and positive belief, Aries, or do they make you feel like doom and gloom and fear? There is feminine healing to do around your self-identity, around your foundation and your roots. So there could be anger practice, sacred anger practice to do there, about standing in your feminine leadership, standing up as a woman, being seen as a woman, being strong and powerful as a woman, and the pushback to that, or just old fears from past lives and old issues there that are really unconscious or subconscious that maybe are not obvious to you. And how to not take, Lilith, not take healing where you may have done things to belong or be a part of a group or a partnership when that's really going against what's right for you. Lilith was willing to be isolated to say, no, only equality is what I will tolerate in my life. So let's pull some cards for you, Gemini. Cut the cords of doubt. So very clear message with what this eclipse is all about for you. Standing in your expertise, standing in your who you are with confidence and courage, and with it amongst groups and people, standing as a leader in your business, your platform, in life, in the world, and healing all of the foundations and your self-image, and cutting the cords of doubt, meaning that we do have doubt pop up, but how do you handle it? Do you have real techniques that work? We do that in ALCHEMY. Do you have real techniques that work to handle the doubt as it arises in the moment? Because it does. And every time you level up, you have new self-worth issues that pop up, like, hey, sure you want to grow? Creator water, feeling your emotions, access your emotions. It's about feeling them, not Gemini intellectualizing them and talking about them. Processing might help, but only if you're feeling emotions. That's the only way to heal trauma. It's the only way to heal. It's the only way to ever release an emotion, is through the body, through feeling. And that's how you embody your power. Magic happens when you most expect it. So it's talking about that positive belief of Aries. So this is a big homework assignment for you, Gemini, is this positive beliefs. Expect the best. What are you holding in your imagination? Something I meant to talk about, but I didn't. It's reclaiming our imagination. Reclaiming our imagination, because our imagination has been hijacked by movies of doom and gloom and apocalyptic, by the victim, villain, savior triad that movies constantly perpetuate. You know, our imagination has really been hijacked. Reclaim your imagination to imagine what you want to create, which can help you step into areas of life where you're feared, where you're afraid. I hope that helps you, Gemini. All right, Cancer. All right, Cancer, this eclipse is happening for you in your 10th house of sacred calling, taking up space in the world, of being, of having a legacy of your sacred calling. And it's squaring Pluto in the 8th of standing in your power, reclaiming your sensuality and sexuality, reclaiming the feminine principle. And how important that is what's divine, that is the essence of divinity, that is the essence of the all that is, the mystery, the invisible, that sexuality was sacred and wasn't what the connotation it has today, that we're healing. And when we heal this within ourselves, we heal it within humanity, and we change the world, we change the reality that we live in. And Pluto is your power. It's this transmutation into a butterfly. So when you step into this autonomous self of courage, you understanding your I am, owning your no, yes, being assertive about who you are, speaking your truth, the light speaks up, being very clear and direct and transparent about who you are, what you're doing, what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what you don't want, and letting the chips fall where they may, and having this courage that things can really shift in your sense of power and your connection to spirit, your connection to the sacred, to all that is. And that there is this transmutation with your relationship to the all that is. And there can be feeling like you get stuck. You can feel thwarted right now. You can feel stuck. You can feel like you're being kind of held back or restricted. That can be this energy, but it's all for that metamorphosis into the butterfly. So let yourself be aware of that caterpillar time and the purging that might be needed and be going on. You might have, you will have some feminine healing that is taking place in the 3rd house of your mind, how you think, your perspectives on life, what is like, how you communicate to the world. So where are you needing to heal the feminine, the visibility, having a voice? So where is having a voice in this life, and the way you narrate all of life, the way you narrate relationships, the way you narrate your business, work day to day, exercise, your body, old stories from the past, how you narrate every area of life. Is it standing in your empowerment? Is it fair to you? Is it from that autonomous Aries place, that place of courage, that place of assertiveness, that place of a clear identity of I am, and coming from heart, this is who I am, being courageous, being a leader amongst leaders. So there may be healing in this area for you. This Mars is wanting you to feel everything that has to do with your ego and yourself and your personality, maybe where people don't understand you, misunderstand you, maybe where you have a different sense of self than how others see you. All of this, Mars is asking you to access your emotions on and to be willing to heal. And pull you some cards, Cancer. The good kind and a protection message. Remembering that who you really are, remembering the goodness within yourself, remembering your heart and your soul and who you are and where you come from, not letting others tell narratives about who you are that's not true and that's not the truth of you. Remembering that you have something to do here that really matters. Make a mission statement for your soul. This card is about getting back into that connection of soul and heart. This whole reading is kind of saying returning to the self within yourself, to stand up in the world in such a powerful way with that 10th house eclipse. you have to be able to stand within yourself. And so that healing, and your third, your sense of the way you think about yourself, and you have to be willing to heal your sense of self. And there's healing for you with the Scorpio in your ninth house of your expertise and your sense of feeling like you're teaching something to the world, like you have information that helps the world and benefits the world. So there's this message of getting back to soul, getting back to a clear connection with your own self. So that might mean not overthinking, meditation, grounding into the body, moving the body, fire ceremony, candles, baths, what makes you, getting in nature, what makes you feel back connected and grounded to yourself. And then I got the card, get back to the elemental, which is what I was just saying. And it's in a protection message saying that there's this deep need, that there's something where you're avoiding doing all the self-care things that make you a fully resourced woman. There's too much thinking, it's too much distraction, scrolling, constant activities, constantly being busy as a way to not actually access your emotions and feel your emotions, to really question, do self-inquiry about what is that self-connection in there, because it often means we have to face the sadnesses and the dark, difficult emotions, but there's so much power in doing that. So I hope you do that. And She Alchemy is available to Cancer. I hope that helps you. Big eclipse for you. Leo, this eclipse is in your ninth house of expertise, of being really questioning and your philosophical and metaphysical beliefs, with Pluto here in the seventh. This is, your relationships are provoking and challenging this and giving this great opportunity to stand in this sense of autonomy and power within yourself, and to be grounded in who you are and within relationships. And so this is definitely having to do with having not been autonomous in relationships. There is feminine healing to do around abundance, scarcity, around valuing yourself, around loving yourself. Do you love yourself? Are you trying to gain aplomb from the outside world, from relationships, to constantly validate who you are? Or do you love yourself from the inside out? Because there's a lot of feminine healing being asked for you in the second house. Like, we have to go towards that, changing your mindset around business and how you think about your sacred calling, how you think about taking up space in this world, with the South Node in your fourth house, of needing to heal the self-identity that is keeping you from standing in a place and sharing philosophical ideas that help humanity and help the world, and standing in your sense of expertise in the world. And so definitely related to relationships. Pull you some cards, Leo. The edge of evolution feels messy. It's funny. The edge of evolution feels messy. So it's not clean and tidy. There's big emotions. Pretty much what I've been saying for everyone, for the collective, is that there's big emotions. There's big feelings. It's gnarly, and it's a big purge sometimes. And it's facing all of the shadow and the awful stuff within our own self, how we perpetuate it and how we're a part of it. Integrate your knowing in a protection message, that feminine energy of the fox. That, are you listening to that instinctual nature within? If you're feeling out of control, that fixity of Leo, if you're feeling out of control, you're unwilling to change. The fixity, we're not meant to be in fixity. We're meant to be fixed when it's the right thing to be fixed upon. But that fixed energy often doesn't want to grow and change and evolve. And so lead your metamorphosis, you turn into the butterfly, like you lead yourself into this change, because it's not going to happen to you. It's not going to come for you. You have to actively engage with it and seek it, particularly with fixed energy. ambush fear with ferocious dreams. So there's this feeling of maybe feeling out of control and not really feeling wanting to change. Often if we don't choose to change and grow, it happens to us, which is less fun. All right, Leo, I hope that helps you. All right, Virgo. Virgo. This eclipse, this new moon eclipse is in your 8th house, all about power, sensuality, about stagnation. So there's probably definitely this feeling of being stuck, of not going anywhere, of things not working out for you. And it's this pushing on you to help you grow. It's pressure, pressure makes the diamond. It's this pressure and this like pushing you to look at things you've not been willing to look at, to evolve, to change, to step out of old comfort zones and old patterns, and to stop being in that analytical thinking, but to feel and be versatile and mutable and willing to change and evolve. Like that Virgo energy is a mutable sign, which means that really looking at your perspectives and connecting to a more cosmic perspective around your expertise. How are you looking at that? Pluto is in the 6th house. So this is stagnation is related to work. It's related to your schedule, routines, your life force energy, the lifestyle that you want to live, and that the current one that you're living. Are you being fixed in any way with the way that you're living, thinking it has to be this way? Because this is where you're asked to stand up and have courage to face some new independence, some new version of your sense of autonomy, sovereignty, freedom, independence, to face a new freedom within yourself by looking at how you're living day to day and how you're doing your work day to day. Something needs to shift here with Pluto being here, the South Node in the 3rd house, saying to really get out of the fixity within your mindset, because that's not going to help you at all. There's feminine healing needed in your sense of yourself, identity, the way you see yourself, the way others see you. There's really this healing that's being asked of your feminine energy around your personality, your health, your body, yourself, the part of you that is the vehicle for your soul in this life, the way others see you. So that self-identity, that ego self, the personality, there's a lot of healing that's needed. Healing from feeling like you were demonized as a woman, healing from feeling like when you stood up in a leadership role, you were killed or admonished or something happened to you in past lives. All of just that the feminine wasn't welcome in the patriarchy, that the feminine was hated, the feminine was demonized, put down, controlled, abused, all of these things. There's some big healing required of you at this time of this eclipse. And so you may have been provoked in these ways. All right, I'm pulling you some cards, Virgo. You got prosperity, sisters, or happiness and joy, but it's in a protection message. So there's been too much of a clamping, closing in, squeezing down of analyzing, being in the mind, not being playful, not getting out of old stuff, patterns of thinking and believing. This Jupiter and Arachne is with that eclipse in your 8th house. And so it's asking you to change your belief systems, look at your belief systems where they're not going to put something into the quantum field that's going to create the reality that you truly do want to create. Look at the reality you want to create, and then look at your thoughts and see if those thoughts are going to create that reality that you want to live. And that will help you so much. Like joy, like remember that Neptune's North Node is Leo, that the soul is requiring joy. It's requiring joy now, and playfulness and love and happiness in the heart to be expressed in the world, to move forward and evolve in the world. Cozy up with risk and a protection message saying that you're playing it safe. You are going into where it feels comfortable, familiar, to be safe. Risk is only risk to our minds. So what one person thinks is risk is not risk to another. So remember that and kind of identify like, oh, okay, this feels like a risk, or this feels scary. Why? What does it mean? Like, why does it feel scary to me? What will it mean? Will I fall? Will I die? Will I lose some sort of comforts I'm not willing to lose? Will it change? Will I lose my sense of my self-identity? This chart, this eclipse is asking you to heal your sense of identity. So will I lose my sense of identity if I change this thing and I don't have this thing anymore, or I don't look this way anymore, or I'm not perceived by the world in this way? So something really to consider, because that's big. So many of us make decisions based on how we're going to perceive, how we're going to appear, how we're going to look, how others see us, rather than on our own soul. Bravely market your magic. So it's saying, put yourself out there, get exposure. I think that's clear as day. All right, Virgo. So Libra, this eclipse for you is in your 7th house, and it's all about relationships, and Pluto in the 5th, saying that it stems from creative self-expression, from standing as a complete whole definition, as a queen on the stage, like standing in the world complete and whole. That's what this 5th house represents. It's about creative self-expression and the romance of life. Like, are you caught up in the romance of life and the fun and the beauty and the joy of it all? And you're being provoked. There's a square here. So this eclipse is asking you to stand in your autonomy in relationships in a different way, that you have to do it different, that you were shrinking before. Your sense of yourself in the world, your presence in the world, your creative self-expression was shrunken. It wasn't out in the world. You weren't doing it. You were hiding, playing small, and it's asking for you to change into the butterfly and to stand in that sense of I am, being clearly defined, your no, your yes, your likes, your dislikes, your who you are, your identity, your courage, your bravery. It takes bravery and courage to change people's hearts. And that's within your own life of who you are. There's feminine healing needed in around past lives and what you've went through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, that is going to allow you to invoke the power of this eclipse and change the stories, Jupiter, that affect the quantum field to create a new reality. And so changing your belief systems around relationships. And that means that it's like really digging into what you think relationships are and what you thought they were, but is that serving you? How does that make you feel to think about relationships in those ways? How does it make you feel? Do you feel empowered? Do you feel good? Do you feel uplifted, encouraged, inspired? Or do you feel small and shrunken down into a smaller life? This is a way to really ask yourself these questions and understand how you can get in there to try to shift this, the South Node in your 2nd house of valuing yourself and making money. There is getting out of the fixity, getting out of wanting to be safe, getting out of the old familiar and what your mind, your primal limbic brain thinks is safe. It's not. We have to question that, because it's not what is actually safe. It's what our primal brain thinks is safe. It's what all the wounds and the trauma and the triggers thinks are safe. And so there's so much healing around being alone, but if that's what it takes to be equal or to be treated well, then Lilith is willing to do that. Isis standing in your power as a woman and healing this from past lives. So Libra, it's definitely a lot of healing and transformation and shifts are happening, are available to you. Like, we have to go for it. We have to grab it. We have to do it. So accessing your emotions and not thinking your emotions, but actually feeling them. What does your soul say? Which is about accessing your emotions and feeling your emotions. So the emotions are the language of your soul. Are you listening to your soul by feeling the emotions? I caught myself not really wanting to feel emotions for the last few days, and I had to kind of sit down and be willing to feel them. Tears came immediately, just some things were coming up. It's just like, I just didn't want to feel bad anymore. So I had to face that and be willing to shift it, because otherwise I was just in this stuck place within myself. And it was reflecting, starting to reflect on my outside. I was like, okay, I got to shift this. And it was okay for maybe a few days, or maybe we get in those places for a couple of weeks where we're just wanting to feel good, because on this ascension journey, the highs and the lows, the high highs and the low lows, sometimes the low lows are a lot, fast and furious, many never ending, you know, so it can be sometimes where I just want to fucking feel good. And so we can resist all of the emotions that might come up, but a lot of times they come up and through really quickly and they don't stay and linger. That's what I find so much of, is the more healing I've done and the more wounds I've healed, trauma work, or more willingness I've been to do all of this, the easier emotions pass through me. There's moments where they get stuck. Usually Reiki is needed, some energetic work is needed, and then they will shift through really easily. Sometimes there's just something deeper, that low that can happen with the ascension journey and awakening. So I have a podcast episode all about that. You can access the link below this video for the podcast about the ascension, high highs and low lows, and really help you. Follow through. You got this card of follow through about it's in, I can't remember if I pulled this up right or not, but I think it was in a protection message saying that if you get scattered in too many directions and you can't follow through on one direction. And so it's really asking for you to commit and follow through all the way on one individual task, because it'll provoke you to grow in all these ways. Whereas if you keep switching to the new thing, to the new thing, to the new thing, then it doesn't provoke you, because you never stick with it to the end. As soon as you get to that hard spot within yourself, you switch to the new thing so you can feel better. And then when you get to the hard spot in that, you switch to the new thing. So it's saying just stay on the same track with one thing all the way to completion, and you'll never see so much empowerment happen and bloom forward when you do that. You got this, Libra. Pull you one more card. You are epic. So believe it, know it, like really step into that belief, embody that. Like, can you carry that thought around with you all day? Like, can you really believe that? Not try to prove it, not try to convince, but just actually embody that. I'm going to leave you with that, Libra. All right, Scorpio. I did not focus on Mars much in this reading, but it's not what was wanting to come forward. So, this Mars rules this eclipse, saying access our emotions, that we will heal our autonomy through accessing our emotions. And so this eclipse for you is in your 6th house of self-mastery, of your day-to-day schedules and routines, of this house of often burdens, and of where there's this self-sacrifice. And so with you, Scorpio, are you accessing your emotions and around, you know, being an expert in your business and your world and your life? There's feminine wounds to be healed around other people, groups, collectives, collaboratives, around how other people see you and view you. There's a lot of feminine wounds that may be unconscious or subconscious. Pluto in your 4th house of your identity of self and your roots, you're the foundation upon which you stand on, is why there is autonomy. Like, that is where to gain autonomy at. That is where things can shift for you, and working with your belief system. So it's coming from not having a healed sense of self-identity, 4th house, and a healed sense of rootedness, a foundation in the world because of your sense of self, which our sense of ourself is always changing. It's kind of like the constant course corrections of balance, right? It's always changing and shifting, but we have a general baseline, and that's like ever growing if we're growing, evolving, and changing. And so you want to look at that and see if you're being in that fixed Scorpio, if you are really willing to access your emotions and to be strong in that. There's healing in your sense of your identity, your sense of your I amness, how others have seen you. So there's this healing amongst groups around like how you've been seen in the world that will heal your ability to own the lifestyle that you want to live, to own your day-to-day routine and your health. Your health is a big one here, that it has everything to do with your sense of self and how that's either been warped by abuses or traumas in other people, or how you've stood up, how you can heal that foundation and those roots, which this quincunx to Isis and Lilith is through healing the feminine old past life wounds and things around how others have seen you, or being around your place in the collective. Soul on fire. So there's this energy of being completely inspired, lit up, ready to take on the world and to shift and change and grow. And so there's this energy, move beyond intention to belief. So you know what you want. Now it's time to believe in it as if it's already true. See it already happening. Reclaim your imagination and create it in your mind to allow yourself to get more and more comfortable with being in that new place. So as you go there with your actions, that it creates that reality walking into place. Bliss is worth creating from. So bring in the joy, bring in the happiness, realize how important that is and how powerful it is to trust your joy to lead you to the right place. Sag, this eclipse for you, it's in your 5th house of standing strong in the world, standing powerfully. So this autonomy, your belief system, is it the belief system that's creating the reality that you want to create, or what reality has it been creating for you? Because Jupiter is conjunct Arachne. And so this eclipse being conjunct the North Node, and all about your sense of standing in the world powerfully, the sense of confidence, the sense of being, and being the one on stage, your creative expression in the world. That this is coming from your mindset, that it's about how you think. And there's a square to Pluto saying like, how you think is either going to allow you to stand powerfully in the world, confidently on stage in the world, visible as a woman, speaking your voice, speaking your expertise, being a leader, putting your creative work out into the world, expressing creatively, or it's not. And so really looking at your mindset, and there's a call here to completely transform your mindset and have that metamorphosis into the butterfly of your mind, a new way of thinking and believing that is creating what you desire to create. And this is asking you to do some healing around yourself as a woman, taking up space in the world, around where there hasn't been equality in career and in work areas and business, and how there's just this feminine healing that's needed. This quincunx to Pluto, there is this fixity in past lives, of looking at old wounds, and maybe this unwillingness to go there to access emotions. But Mars is so very clear, saying that you must access emotions to do this healing, to stand in your autonomy. You must feel and identify emotions and feel emotions, not think about them, talk about them, but feel them, to release them and get really clear on what is in the way, to be able to clear it, to stand in your powerful sense of yourself in the world. Do you shrink? Does your energy field shrink? Pull you some cards, Sag. This is intensifying this provocation to be your own unique leader, and I am, and have courage to be the sense of self, your raw intention, which is getting back into getting back to the roots, to something direct, clear, concise, something, what is in your heart, getting back, like clearing out all of the clutter and all of the things that don't matter, and just really getting to that sense that's in your heart of who you really are, your goals, your desires, your wants. Creator air and a protection message saying that there's too much thinking, you're not managing your mind. What does that mean, not managing your mind? It means that in She Alchemy, we question our brain, we question our thoughts. How do those thoughts make us feel? Are they serving us? Are they creating the life that we desire, that we want? Your brain is always just spinning default thoughts, but are you thinking that you are those thoughts? Are you thinking those thoughts are true? So are you managing your mind, or are you just letting your brain indulge in thoughts that make you feel like shit, that make you think life is shit, and that, keep you small and stuck and complaining and all of that? So it's like, are you managing your mind and questioning what your mind is offering you so that you can, because our thoughts create our reality. So fall in love with your own story and a protection message. So you're really in the self-abuse, narrating your own self poorly, putting yourself down, self-judgment, not being compassionate with you, expecting for you to be, to a place sooner, not giving yourself enough time, thinking you should be different. It's really talking about your thoughts and the way you're narrating life, and saying that you need to not beat yourself up. You need to be compassionate, but question your brain. Your brain is not you. Question your brain and all of those thoughts. Those thoughts are not truths. There's facts, and then there's all the things we think about those facts, which are thoughts. So question them, keep the ones that you like, that make you feel good, get rid of the rest. I teach how to do that and make it stick in Alchemy. Fearless expression, also in a protection message. So it's saying that you need to step in to that power and courage within yourself to express yourself in the world. Step into your sense of identity within the world, which is what you're reading your astrology said, this is happening in your 5th house. So it's all about that fearless expression. And that is that 5th house, like this fearlessness. And Aries it's dauntlessness. It's not meaning that you never get afraid, but it's bravery in the face of fear. It's doing it anyways, even though you're afraid. There's times where I'm afraid to say something, or I'm afraid to get on a video, or I don't know, just emotions don't make sense. We just have fear sometimes that pops up. Okay. I'm like, okay, but I just release it, or I just, I notice it there and I just don't let it stop me. I just take action anyway. So, but releasing it is so powerful. Feel the emotions. So step in to the fact that you matter and you have something important to offer this world. All right, Sag. Capricorn. Hold on a second. Don't know what stupid program is doing. Okay. Capricorn. This eclipse is happening for you in your 4th house. It's about your sense. It's everything to do with your sense of identity, foundation, and roots. So who are you? What is your sense of self that you feel inside? And how is that challenged out in the world, in life? How are you challenged on that? How are you told that that's wrong, or that you're wrong? Or how are you not seen for the truth of who you are? How does it affect your foundation for how you see yourself? Because Aries is all about courage. It's about positive self-belief. It's about the unicorns, about charging forward, taking action, believing, going in. And so Jupiter is asking for new beliefs that can affect the quantum field and affect reality and create reality into existence. It's square Pluto in your 2nd house of valuing yourself. So this new sense of your own autonomy, sovereignty, and identity comes from valuing yourself. And there's a square here, so meaning that this is challenging. This is not easy to allow yourself to completely metamorphose into the butterfly around your value system, around valuing yourself, loving yourself. And it's actions. It's not in thinking about it all. It's in taking actions to value yourself. It's in standing up, speaking your voice. It's loving yourself in the face of other people's condemnation. And there's feminine healing needed in your sense of your expertise, standing as an expert in the world, your philosophical beliefs and ideas, your metaphysical beliefs in the world. Mars is saying access your emotions, particularly when it comes to relationships. Really feel emotions, access your emotions, quit denying them, quit avoiding them, quit going numb on them. That is the answer. Powerful, powerful healing and answer to everything. There is maybe this fixed ideas about people and other people and groups and how people are. If you can get out of that fixity, you can allow this evolution, this transformation to happen. Capricorn, pulling you cards. Feed your artist, but it's in a protection message. So feed your artist, get into your play. I can really feel like this rigidness, this really, sucked in energy. It's asking you to expand, to let your heart bloom, to dance, paint, draw, sing, chant, express, go to a clay class, go skating, really expand out. Let this flower of yourself bloom artistically and creatively and express, because it's going to help get all those stuck places moving for you to feel emotions and let those emotions come out. You are the light. So remember that you are light. Instead of trying to seek and find where's someplace okay and safe, remember you are the one that's safe within yourself. You are the light. You are this powerful person. You're so powerful. And so really recognizing and honoring that. Unstick the stuck. Yeah, I just felt like all of this stuck energy, and you do that by remembering that you are the light yourself, that you have within you all you need. And to feed your artist, there's this resistance of being willing to paint and draw and get out the colored markers and the poster boards and just get on the floor, paint with your body, roller skate, be free. Like there's this real need for some freedom. It says unstick the stuck. Like there's all these stuck places where you're in boxes, where you're coloring in between lines where you don't need to. And pull you one more card, Capricorn. You are the muse. So let yourself be inspired by stimulating that inspiration with books and reading and looking and going to places and getting yourself out in the world, try new things, have little adventures. It's going to help you remember that you're the muse to other people. I think the message is you are the light. You are the big inspiration to others. You are the inspiration to others. And so really working with your own stuck places to heal so that you can be that big, beautiful light in the world. All right, Capricorn. Aquarius. This eclipse is happening for you in your third house of the mind, how you think, your thoughts. And so it's really asking for you to reclaim some way of thinking and believing and perceiving the world that is of your own heart and soul's perspective and view on things. It's not from the patriarchy. It's not from the dominator culture. It's not from the status quo and the mainstream. And Pluto's here in your first house saying it's going to take you really being willing to stand in your own unique identity, no matter how you're seen. And it's going to take you being willing to stand apart and to heal your ego, to heal all of the wounded places within your own ego. The ego gets really hurt and likes to act out, gets defensive and wounded. So it's easy to find where you need to heal your ego because it's always defensive, defended, and wounded and triggered. And those are all the places to look to heal that ego, which is the vehicle for your soul. And so we need a healthy, healed ego. We need an ego that has pride in itself and feels powerful and loving and has a positive expectation. And that's what this eclipse is provoking, is this juxtaposition between the unhealed ego and standing in a perspective on life and a view and the way you think day to day, moment to moment, that is from your own heart and soul and not from the programs. There's feminine healing needed in your sexuality, your sense of sensuality, sacredness, your sense of your connectedness to the all that is, your sense of power and your personal power. So there's a lot of feminine healing needed. And where is the sense of your power that you need to retrieve from past lives and from old childhood wounds and things that you've been through? Mars is saying access your emotions in your day-to-day life, access your emotions in your lifestyle and your world, moment to moment, moment to moment. This is what's going to help you heal. Mars rules this eclipse. It's what it's going to take. There's really you're stuck thinking and feeling around your business. And so you have to unstick the stuck, be willing to flow and adapt. And pull you cards, Aquarius. And success and transformation. So positive belief, optimism, that if you allow yourself to be metamorphosed into that butterfly, that there is success. Find your sacred flow, but it's in a protection message where it's too much thinking, too much in the head. To flow means we're coming from intuition and instinctual nature, coming from our emotions, all of that. And so it's really accessing our emotions, being willing to feel all of the feels, which is how we get the life we really desire. Change maker, make waves. Like Aquarius is a change maker. Aquarius is ingenuity, inventiveness, innovative. It's the wild, mad genius. You know, can you access your willingness to stand tall in the world powerfully to make changes in the world and to be the example of how people can do it and to uplift and inspire others. All right, Aquarius, sending you love. Pisces. Pisces, this eclipse is happening for you in your second house. Pluto is in your 12th, all about metamorphosing from all the past lives into this new version of yourself, this life, and this autonomous version of valuing yourself around money, standing tall around money, standing in positive belief around your abundance and valuing yourself and your worthiness, your resourcefulness, your self-sufficiency, your ability to survive, to create in this world and in this life. And the second house is all about new beliefs around this Jupiter and healing around this Chiron, healing the ability to be autonomous, the ability to be unto yourself, not relying on other people or not, you know, independent of other people. So another way to say it is like independent of what other people are doing or not doing and how they may be affecting you or not affecting you, like independent of whatever the hell they're doing. You are sovereign, autonomous, courageous, filled with your heart, positive belief, positive expectation, changing those beliefs, healing any old wounds around this area, and standing up in this new autonomous self of self-value and abundance and positive belief in these areas, which is, you know, changing from the caterpillar to the butterfly around past life wounds and a lot of completions, a lot of things coming to completion, coming to an end with past lives and old wounds and traumas and all of that stuff that has been really challenging. There is Mars saying to access your emotions around being a leader in the world, putting your creative self-expression out there, really be real about what you're feeling and about where you might be having sadnesses or some emotions to feel and move through, to shift, to be able to stand powerfully in who you are, confident in the world, standing on stage, having this sense of completion in the world. There's feminine healing needed in your relationships of where you are demonized, outcasted, put down, told you were something you weren't, like just healing for being a woman, healing for being the light, for being beautiful, that there's this healing that's offered to you in this eclipse around relationships. And I'm sure you've been seeing that come up, where that's coming up in your relationships, these great opportunities to do it differently, to narrate it differently, to think about it differently, and to feel the feelings and heal what's inside any old wounds that may be there. There may be this stuck idea about philosophical beliefs or ideas that can really need to be shifted. All right, Pisces, creator alchemy is in a protection message. So really remembering the creator that you are and what you have the ability to create and to make happen. You got limitations inspire innovations. And so it's in a protection message saying that maybe you're narrating limitations as such a negative thing, but to look at them with a new perspective that's elevated, that can really make you feel more empowered in a way to handle them. Because if they're there, they're there. So how do you handle them to move yourself forward? Light and the unexpected. So look for the crack of light and the dark. Dark and light are resolving halves of the whole. So look for where the light and the good is there, where there's this growth, where there's this metamorphose taking place. and see what this is about for you, Pisces. Being in your second house, it's really asking you to retrieve your energy from other people, retrieve your value, retrieve your abundance from other people, from letting other people control that. And it's saying rise. So this message was so clear. I was like, there's some message that wants to come forward here. It's just saying this eclipse has everything to do with a retrieval of power from other people and from you know, other people dictating your finances, your money in any way, and you standing and rising within yourself so powerfully, so big. So this is a powerful, powerful moon for you. It's a new moon. Everyone, I hope that you do ritual and ceremony and be willing to change and grow and evolve, because what the hell else are we doing here anyways? So sending you so much love. You can book an astrology reading at thegoddessastrologer.com. You can find out about She Alchemy there. And I will see you on the next new moon video and every day on TikTok. Lots of love.